Okay, you're at the Watchmen Way, 12620. Uh, Sorry about the delay. Um, we did go to the saddle rack last night and we had fun. Um, as you can tell by the 1 hour late start, I laid down to take a nap at 1 o'clock and woke up when Lisa called me at 10 after 5. Wanted to know if we were going to have a show tonight. So, yeah, it was good. A lot of fun. I needed it, really. So, I'm not selling anything. I don't charge any fees. I don't monetize the videos. I don't accept donations. All we ask is that if you learn anything here, that you pay it forward. You pay it forward now by reaching out, trying to red pill your friends, relatives, neighbors, wake them up to what's coming: worldwide economic collapse, worldwide draining of the swamp, exposure of the worldwide satanic pedophile ring, including the Pope, the royal family, former U.S. presidents. Epstein Island was a honeypot. There's thousands of hours of video. The most famous, wealthiest people in the world, most powerful people in the world, on these tapes. NSA's got all of it. President Trump's got all of it. That's what the big battle behind the scenes is. That's what the impeachment's about. That's what all of these distractions are about. It's about, first and foremost, getting us off the scent of the worldwide satanic pedophile ring, which is what their mother of all bombs is. They know they can't come back from that once the people find out about it. But it's too late. It's happening. It's happening right now. So basically, the Watchmen, God has come to me twice now. In 2014, my original calling to be a watchman, to warn of these things and wake up and prepare as many people as I could, which turned out being what we could. And then about 2 weeks ago now, called me again. And we've always said here, about paying it forward. That basically our basic prep: extra food, extra water, medical supplies, ammo, physical silver, and Litecoin. And you're going to add to that based on your own personal situations. We've always talked about the profits from Litecoin and silver, paying that forward in the future to the people, to the needy, right? The people who are in trouble. Well, it's much bigger than that. Everybody should research the way. The way was Jesus. When Jesus was here 2,000 years ago, that's what he called his church, the way. At that time, there was no Bible, no bishops, no priests, no pope. That basically church was in us all. The church was how we lived our lives every day. That's what Jesus envisioned his church to be. The whole Catholic thing came, 300 years later, really, with the Council of Nicaea, Emperor Constantine. The Bible was let's think about this for a second. The Bible was assembled, and there were I think there were hundreds of books. So this Emperor Constantine paired this Bible, the Bible we have today, New Testament at least. Well, it's both the New and the Old, but by the elite. This guy's an emperor. Royal family, emperor, Vatican, all connected. The same people, basically. So the same people And now remember, their motivation back then in 330 AD was very similar to the elite's motivation today when they created the internet and social media. Created as ways to control us that in both cases now have been turned back against these elite, cabal, globalist, satanic pedophiles, all the same people. It's now being turned back on them. They're tools. God's not happy with church. Not happy. Damn sure not happy with the Catholic Church. Really not happy with any church, because it's missing the whole point. You know, it's more about the business model than it is about doing God's work. Religion has been corrupted by man through the Bible, through teachings that, you know, are questionable at best sometimes. Listen, the beauty of the way is we get rid of all of the garbage that the churches have brought upon us. Man's lame attempt at manipulating us, and where the way is pure. You know, there's no hierarchy. There's no sending your donations to the Vatican. You know, in the way, you put your donations directly in the hands of the needy, the people in your community. That makes a heck of a lot more sense than sending it, you know, half a world away. God knows what they're going to do with it. You're going to find out about the Catholic Church. You wouldn't want to send them a dime when you find out the truth. So, just think about the Pope pretty soon, this year sometime, going to announce he's going to resign. He's going to announce that 70% of current priests are homosexual, 50% are pedophiles, are molesting children. The Catholic Church comes down. And when we originally talked about, you know, paying our investments of Litecoin and silver forward, God's plan is that we use those, and it's the same thing, really. It's the same exact thing. It's just a little bit different way to think about it. That we're going to build the foundation of God's new old church, the way, with the profits we reap from silver and Litecoin. So we're going to take that money that we've been gifted by God, and we're going to, you know, start our projects, you know, eliminating veteran homeless, eliminating homeless altogether. There are so many things that need to be done in our country. All you have to do is drive around an urban area right now. It's horrific what's going on in our streets right now with the homeless and the mentally unstable, unfit that they've just turned out because they don't have the funds to take care of them. So push them out on the street. That's what we've been doing the last probably 10 years. That stuff's got to end. There's no place for homelessness in a civilized society. We will end homelessness. The Watchmen will end homelessness in America. And we've got, I think it's up and running now, a place where we can put suggestions for projects, future projects on the page. So basically, we're going to roll these donations and use these profits to establish the foundation of the way. It's pretty straightforward. And it's really what God intended church to be. He didn't expect us to, I mean, his plan wasn't for us to sit in a building for an hour a week and call it good that we were Christians. No, the way is the way we live our lives every day, the way we treat each other, telling the truth every day, doing the right thing every time. And, you know, we've got going right now the Watchmen Way Challenge, where I'm challenging people, live this for 1 week. For 1 week, every single time, tell the truth. every single time, do the right thing, no matter what you're talking about. Um, Being honest with yourself and the people you know and love. Telling them the truth, even when you think that it might cause a fight, or you know, a lot of times what we do is we overanalyze things, and we project what we envision could happen. There might be the one possibility of 50 outcomes, and so we make an excuse to tell a white lie, or to mislead somebody in some way, so we can avoid that conflict or whatever it is we're afraid of starting. I'm telling you guys, it's when you start living the way, it changes your whole life. You feel good about everything you're doing every day because you're doing the right thing. Tell the truth. Have some integrity, some ethics when you're dealing with people. Um, do the right thing. This doesn't have to be complicated. That's my main. God's unhappy with the Bible for the main reason is that people use it too often as a club against others, other Christians. A lot of times, you know, I know there's passages in the Bible that talk about, you know, judging and you know, calling people out for their sins. Uh, my That's not really what God wants with the Bible. The Bible should be a source of comfort. It's not a source of conflict. Um, it's not to be weaponized against our fellow Christians or humans, for that matter. Doesn't really make any difference, guys. If it's a Christian or a Muslim we're dealing with, God wants us to do the right thing. Even with liberals, got to do the right thing. Got to bury the hatchet. This is going to be a very difficult time, even though it shouldn't be. Even though if people were fully awake, this would be a breeze. The hardest thing about this, what's coming, all these things I mentioned, is going to be one of the toughest things. I think is going to be cognitive dissonance, and that's where a person's strongly held beliefs are countermanded by reality, right? And that's what's going to happen here when people find out about all of the things that the Obama and Clinton and the rest of them have done the last 70 years, especially, you know, the last couple of administrations. You know, Obama and Bush are two of the worst as far as lawlessness. You know, Obama would be number one and Bush would be number two, and then Clinton 3, and then Bush 43 would be 4. It's like every year that goes by, they're finding more and more ways to weasel through the system. And basically steal us blind. These guys, we basically gave them the keys and walked away. And we're paying for it now because we have ignored them for basically 70 years and let them get away with whatever they wanted. And now we got a mess to clean up. And that's what all this is about. Draining the swamp, exposing the satanic pedophiles, the economy coming down. That's got to be cleaned out. When people find out the magnitude of the corruption and the manipulation and the theft in our financial systems, you'll never put money in the bank again. We're watching the end of mainstream media, the Democratic Party, and banks as we know them. Because when you lose your bank account, and you're going to lose your bank account, and your pension, and your 401k and your stocks and your bonds, virtually anything on paper is going to be, it's going to drop to zero or near it. Pennies on the dollar if you're lucky. I don't know how many people are even going to see that. But it's all been orchestrated. This isn't a mistake that we're going to have this monumental collapse, worldwide collapse. This is 100 times worse than 1929. 1929 was devastating in America. But only 30% of the people were impacted. Think about that, 30%. And in the rest of the world, probably less than 5% was impacted by the 1929, the Great Depression. This time, nobody that lives in the civilized world is going to escape this. Every single person is going to be impacted by this. If you live in a jungle in the Amazon, you're probably not going to notice a change in your lifestyle. But anywhere else, if you're living in a civilized country, a first world country, everybody's going to lose something. And that's part of why God showed us physical silver and Litecoin. The returns are going to be phenomenal. God said that whatever's been taken from you is going to be returned sevenfold. Well, that's why we're going to get these kind of crazy numbers returned to us. I mean, they're saying Litecoin, and I think this number's conservative. Litecoin is like $58 right now today. Some analysts believe it's going to be $3 million by 2024, and I think that's conservative. There's only 84 million Litecoin in the world. There's 7.5 billion people in the world. 7.5 billion people in the world. There's only 84 million Litecoin, which is a digital currency, the future of money, makes banks obsolete. Perfect timing. Only 84 million total, and I think there's over 64 million already sold. At least 20 million left. What do you think is going to happen when the banks close? I mean, it goes through the roof. Same with silver. Precious metals. You got to have assets outside the system to act as insurance against what you're going to lose. Because you're pretty much going to lose everything you own on paper. The value of your home is going to go down 80%. So combine that with everything else I just said. If you're not ready, it can be crushing. Just think about, I think of people my age who have, busted their butts to get a decent pension, worked overtime, week after week. You're going to lose it all. Think about being that person and how you're going to feel. If you're 60 plus, it's kind of hopeless because what are you going to do? Well, you don't have to worry about it if you got physical silver and Litecoin, because you're going to have, maybe a lot of our members are going to have 100 times what they would have got in their total of their retirement. This is life-changing money. It's world-changing money. And that's why God is giving us these gifts. Every war the last 300 years, every terrorist attack, every school shooting's been caused, been orchestrated, been engineered by this group of globalist, swamp, deep staters. The war is money to them. Burn up all those arms, all that munition, all those weapons. Plus, it keeps us living in fear and distraction so they can keep playing their games. They create a problem, then they create the solution, and then they repeat, and it's always problems that they've created giving us solutions that they wanted to herd us like sheep. And that's exactly what they've done, and they've done a brilliant job. You have to admit. Look at the kids today. Christ. They don't have a clue about our country, about our Constitution, about how this is supposed to work. So that hell, they would never know that they're being taken advantage of when they take the second. They're cheering it, right? I mean, think about this. Most of the kids today would cheer if the Second Amendment was eliminated, and then they die 20 years later because they want to eliminate 7 billion people, these elite, from the world. Yeah, it's in the UN website, Agenda 2030. They want the world population to be 500 million in 10 years. It's 7.5 billion today. They want it to be 500 million. How does that happen when life expectancy is going up every year? I mean, this is part of that evil. It's all connected. This whole climate change hoax, it's going on since I was a kid. With all the crap they put on the cars, the emission controls, it doesn't make any difference. It makes zero difference. We have spent billions of dollars on reducing emissions that make zero impact on our world. This world is an amazing place. I mean, it's made to adjust to what happens. And the things that are happening that are impacting our climate, I mean, most of it is natural. Volcanoes. I mean, there's more CO2, I think, in a week of one of those major volcanoes than mankind has caused in our history. So why would we spend billions on something that has no impact? It's because they want to control us, burn our money up. I mean, I've said this before. My degree's in criminal justice. I mean, just since I was going to college in the 70s, it's got to have, the penal code, just here in California, it's had to have quadrupled the size of it. It's all about control. You know, what do these politicians do? They don't ever solve a problem. They just create another law. And what does that do? It doesn't help us. It just puts more control on us. Pretty soon, I mean, it's almost today. You can hardly walk down the street without committing some kind of a crime. That's what they wanted. So they could pick the troublemakers off because everybody was guilty of something. And that's what they thought with President Trump. And it came back and bit him. Because here was a guy who, whether he knew it was coming or is just, I mean, a straight shooter. And he is. Is he perfect? No. Nobody is. I'm not perfect. You know, I try and live my life the best I can each day, but I make mistakes, like all of us do and all of us will. God expects that. That's okay if they're honest mistakes. You know, when you're deliberately doing evil, that's where you got a problem with God. And that's why the way is so easy. It's why you don't need a priest. Because it's all, you know, we all, by the time we're here, we know the difference between right and wrong. I mean, there's those psychopaths that come along that don't get this, but humanity in general, it's like 3 to 5% of the population is all that is in that category, right? We're talking about 95% of the people in the world are basically good at heart. So can you imagine after, in the next 12 months, before the 2020 election, that the evil that has been controlling our world for thousands of years, since Babylon, I believe, is gone, is removed with the swamp, as part of the swamp. They're done. At the same time, the way is exploding, because what God wants, what God showed me, not only does he want us to take our prophets to start the foundation of the way, the new foundation of the way. He wants the way to be ready to roll when the Catholic Church comes down, because he wants the way to fill the void left by the Catholic Church. God has been telling me almost every day, this is the future, guys. At some point, I think in the very near future, I'm talking 20 years, which is quick, and it could be a lot less than that if this thing catches fire, which I think it's going to, which he's telling me it is. It's going to be the biggest religion in the world. It makes the most sense. It's pure. There's nothing here that, I mean, listen, the money goes from my hands to the needy. You're not going to corrupt that part of it. We're trying to do the right thing every single day and every single decision. Living our lives in the service of others. How can you criticize this? You can't. You can't. You just can't. It's pure. There's nothing you can criticize here. This is what Jesus wanted. This isn't my church. I don't want to be a priest or a pope. My job, I'm the messenger. I'm here to get this thing rolling. And now with the Watchmen, I mean, this is, when you look at how this was all laid out, this wasn't me because I talked about this last week. If he would have showed me this last part of the puzzle about the foundation of the church and about being here to fill the void when the Catholic Church goes down, if he'd have told me that in 2014, I think I would have gone off the rails. I think it might have been too much, because this is huge. And it just makes, when he showed me that, I was like, oh my God, it's just, yeah, this makes sense. Why didn't I see it before? Well, he didn't want me to see it before, because he didn't want, he didn't want me to get overexcited and screw it up. I mean, I've been bouncing off the walls here since God showed me this, because I understand how big it is, that this is way more than getting, I mean, obviously, the getting people prepared is huge, because we got to get everybody through this, right? And it's not only just getting people through it, it's getting people through it with the gift that he's giving us in Litecoin and physical silver. So with the profits, we can then pay it forward, put others first, put it into the foundation of God's church, which is really just paying it forward, because it's not like we're going to take that, any money that we were going to, the same money that a month ago we were talking about paying forward, we're going to pay it forward in a more organized fashion to build this thing, so that you want to be a better person. You want to live your life in service of others. This is the place to be. And I defy anyone, show me a religion that's any more pure than the way. And the reason that we don't have the way today, there's no money in it. That's the reason. The reason we've got buildings is so they've got a reason to collect our money. 501c3s. How can you be a Christian? How can you call yourself a Christian? Because you can't criticize abortion if you're a 501c3. They'll take your tax exemption. God doesn't want governments involved having any say in his church. Government doesn't have any say in the way. That never will. This is as pure as it gets for religion, guys. And I defy anyone. Prove me wrong. You can't. This is as pure as it gets. And this is God's church 2,000 years later. And I believe that, it will be the biggest church in the world. I think it's going to be, in 50 years, I don't think there's going to be anything else. Because as we go through this and as we throw off all of this brainwashing that's been laid on us the last 70 years, people are going to start thinking for themselves, using discernment, critical thinking skills. I don't want you to believe anything I say. I want you to prove me wrong. I want you to use your critical thinking skills, get on the internet, and start digging. Not CNN, not MSNBC, the internet, YouTube. I'm telling you, it's the Mockingbird, Project Mockingbird, CIA-controlled media. It's all about propaganda. Not with, when you got the mindset of the way and you're using your critical thinking skills, it's really hard. And everybody's working together. They're never going to be able to do this again. And I announced also that the Watchmen are going to continue on with the way, but our one of our main functions is going to be to stay watchmen, so that if this ever happens again, we're ready for it. And they don't get the foothold, the 70-year foothold they've got here now. Never going to happen again. So we'll crush them in their tracks next time. They'll never be allowed to get off the ground because we're going to know what to look for. Okay. Dow futures. They were down like over 200 points, which is not a good sign on a Sunday night. Be on your toes tomorrow. If you guys can, this is going down any day, guys. I mean, days or weeks. We're not talking months or years right now. If you don't have Litecoin and silver, you'll find, they're all over. The Watchmen Way, the website. We'll post them again in this video. Website for Coinbase, where you can buy your Litecoin, your ledger, that you're going to store your Litecoin on. It's your hard wallet, basically like a thumb drive. And a bullion dealer where you can buy your silver. You want 1 ounce silver rounds and about $300 worth of, you'll look under junk silver on the website and get 1964 or older dimes. They're 90% silver. They're what you use to barter with if the banks close. So they want dimes, 90% silver dimes, US dimes, 64 or older, 1 ounce generic rounds, the cheapest ones they have, minted $9.99 silver. Anybody has any questions? Message me. Do it tonight. If you can do it tonight, because tomorrow might be too late. Because once this blows, like the banks close or whatever the case may be, either it's going to go through the roof and you will be able to afford a fraction of what you could afford today, or you won't be able to get it at all because the lines are going to be blown up. Everybody's going to be overwhelmed because when people see this finally has happened, they're going to try to pour whatever assets they have outside the system, and it's going to be too late. Because when silver starts jumping and when Litecoin starts jumping, number one, Coinbase, I think, will just be overwhelmed with traffic, and the silver dealers won't sell silver. If it's going up $5 a day, nobody's going to sell it. They're going to wait. They're going to wait till it tops out, and who knows when that's going to be and what the price is going to be, what you're going to have to pay for it when you can finally get it. So do not wait. If you wait, you're going to lose. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Let's see. Greatest transfer of wealth in human history. That's what's coming. Man's greatest accomplishment, defeating this evil. And that's the other thing, guys. This evil has had control of the financial systems since Babylon. That all changes this time around. That control is going to shift back to God's people. God wants the power of the wealth of the world in the hands of his people, in the hands of good rather than evil, so that we can do good things with it instead of trying to destroy the world or, kill 7 billion people. Again, anybody who doesn't aware of Agenda 2030, it's on the UN website. Go to the UN website, look it up. Go to the back of the treaty. Goal, worldwide population 500 million. Yeah, if I teach you guys anything here, it's the importance of using your critical thinking skills and discernment. If you do that, and then you bounce it off other, like for us, Watchmen members, there's people who have been doing this now for a while that have a pretty good handle on it. Reach out, bounce it off each other, what you're seeing, what you're thinking. That's the beauty of this group here. It is a great group for support and knowledge. So use it. If you just came like to my personal page and you just looked at the articles and the videos that I've posted the last 5 years, just going back, if you just did that, would be the quickest way you could get red pilled. Because I've kind of done all the weeding out of the garbage, the trolls, and the people who don't know what they're talking about. I'm posting guys that have proven track records. And when you're just starting this process, you don't have a clue who's good and who isn't, who's telling the truth, who isn't, who's a troll, who isn't. This has been a minefield to navigate, guys. And they wanted it to be that way because they wanted to keep us guessing. What's really going on? If you're hearing 10 different things from 10 different people, it makes it even worse, right? Because then it's way too much. Again, you get sensory overload and people tend to shut down. And we don't want to be shutting down through this. I believe they're going to declare martial law at some point when they take these people down or the economy comes down. But I see, we always say, we prepare for the worst and we hope for the best. If you've got all these things, we're prepared for the worst. I don't think we're going to get the worst. I think President Trump has got this dialed in. As long as he can keep the power on and food in the grocery stores, we're going to get through this okay. Now, those that are prepared are going to thrive. You're just not going to survive this. You're going to thrive through this and out the other side into the recovery in helping laying the foundation of the way and your own personal situations. Just think about, I get all the time people, well, God's going to take care of me. I'm a Christian. I'm what God sent. I'm your warning. This is what you're going to get. Get on board or get hammered because you're going to lose everything financially. I know people that are millionaires in the Bay Area here. They're going to be penniless when this is over. Going to be penniless. And they could have multiplied their wealth beyond their dreams if they'd have just don't put your millions into Litecoin and silver. Put 100 grand in. Put 10% of your wealth in. And, 100 grand in silver and Litecoin, nobody in your family is ever going to work, ever. This is wealth that carries on for generations, what we're talking about. 100 grand in Litecoin and silver today. You put 100 grand in Litecoin and silver today. None of your great grandchildren are ever going to have to work. Forever. This is like, this is what the Rockefellers and the Paysours and the Rothschilds got 400 years ago, 300 years ago. All that wealth that they accumulated, they used then to control us for the last whatever. It's all flipping. Do you want to be on the good side of that or the bad side of that? This is just common sense. If I'm wrong, you haven't lost anything. What have you got? You've got extra food and extra water that you can use, and you've got great investments. Litecoin and silver, no matter if none of this happens, they're going to be great investments. So it's a no-lose situation. And it's going to be huge if you take advantage of it. Life-changing. It's life-changing, guys. Okay. Let's see what we got for questions here. Yeah, sorry about being late, guys. I laid down about 1 o'clock to take a nap, and I didn't wake up until I heard the phone buzzing at 5:10. But that might be the longest straight through I've slept in a while, over 4 hours. Oh, wait, here we go. Here, Danielle, how you doing? Brian, what's up? Julie, Rebecca, Cheryl, how you doing? Yeah, tiny homes that's Lisa's idea. She's going to buy a piece of property and put a bunch of tiny homes for homeless veterans. I've got a similar plan in mind. I've also got I want to do a ranch for underprivileged children, mostly kids from the city. Teach them farming, ranching, skills they can use, carpentry, metal shop, mechanics, and where they can get a connection with animals. Because that's what I noticed when I rodeoed was we go to places like Phoenix where you'd think kids would have a little better connection, right? And they had never touched a horse. It's amazing. And then to see them light up, I mean, it changes kids. Let me tell you, FFA, 4-H, there's nothing better you can do for your kids than get them into programs like that, because not only does it teach them responsibility, but it teaches them, that there's things you have to take care of, to like a compassion that you don't maybe otherwise get in today's world, that hands-on, with your animals. The other thing I want to do is something similar with kids tied into the shelters, the pounds, right? To adopt these animals and get the kids taking care of them, because again, it changes kids. Just things like that. And I tell you, I've got a list a mile long. So, but I think that's up on the website now. So you guys please participate there and put in your ideas. Because, there's going to be a lot of people that have money who maybe, are busy with their businesses and would rather, here's how I see this working in a general sense. There's going to be people like business people that have invested and have the wealth, the actual funds. There's going to be people, that are carpenters for their livelihood, or mechanics, or electricians, or welders. Those people will jump on a crew that's building houses for the homeless. There's just so many options. Drive a truck around with junior high kids that's doing gardening for the elderly that can't do it anymore. I mean, there are so many projects that really cost very little, but do so much, not just in the appearance of a neighborhood, but the pride in the neighborhood, the pride in what you're doing. And then on both sides, the elderly that can't manage anymore get that sense of security, that there are people there that'll help them if they need it, because so many of them don't have that, safety net. that that a religion like the Way provides. That was my biggest beef. Well, one of my biggest beefs with the Catholic Church was their wealthiest church in the world forever. I lived in St. Helena. I grew up, went to parochial school, was an altar boy, St. Helena Catholic Church. All this wealth, and you're not seeing it hit the streets, not St. Helena. And not that there was a big problem there, but we had people going through tough times. I mean, you always do. Now it's just multiplied by thousands because it's been going on. I mean, for 10 years. Well, more than that, but for sure since 2009, the last collapse, recession, whatever you want to call it, we've been going downhill. It's been getting worse and worse. So now this bubble is, multiply it by 100. We should have done this in 2009. Let the system come down. It's going to be worse this time, but we're going to be better prepared for it, I guess, is the key. Even though it's going to be worse, we're going to get through it better, at least in America. It's going to be tougher around the world, especially in countries that are still controlled by globalists, which is most of them. Now, we also have God's intervention here. So I believe God has been working this for sure the last 5-6 years. I think he's minimizing the negative impacts of all of this. That it's going to be much smoother because in America, because we've got President Trump guided by God, and then God wanting this to be survivable. That I believe we changed the course with electing President Trump. The plan was if Hillary got elected, they were going to start a nuclear war. Hillary was going to start that was the plan. Hillary was going to start a war with North Korea that, for those of you who didn't know, we've been funding our CIA deep state's been funding North Korea for probably 20 years. They were the ones building the nuke systems in North Korea. And that's who Hillary was going to, basically Hillary was going to start a fake war with our deep state to nuke us back into the Stone Ages. They wanted to make America a third world country because we were the last thing standing between them and what they wanted with Agenda 2030. It's all going to come out, guys. Everything I'm telling you is true. Believe it or not. But do your homework. Find out for yourself. It's true. It's all true. And it's all happening. And the quicker you get on board, the better you and your family are going to survive this. And we're here for you. Okay. Yeah, shouldn't be hunger, shouldn't be homelessness. And we're going to take care of all that, guys. God and the Way, we're going to make a better world. Kathleen's quoting the Bible. Tim 3:16. Here's what we're going to find out, guys. What I believe is that like what's happening with social media and the internet, evil created this. Evil created the internet. Evil created social media. Yeah, they created Twitter and Facebook. The deep state did. The CIA. But look how it's being turned back against them. I think the same thing happened with the Bible. The Bible was the first attempt at controlling us through a structure like this. And I believe the same thing happened. Even though Constantine was trying to set up a Bible that they could use to manipulate us, God put enough truth to come through so that we were ready for this. This isn't a bad thing. That's why I say you have to have an open mind here, guys. Because what we're going to find out is the Bible isn't exactly what we thought it was. As long as you're using your critical thinking skills and you're not listening to anybody that contradicts anything that will go along with the teaching of the way, like murdering people because of the way they think. It's pure. It's doing the right thing. You know, the only time that violence is condoned is in self-defense. So you have to start then using your analytical skills to think about what it is people are trying to get from you, right? Like the media, like in the past, mostly our government until President Trump. He's going to go down as the greatest president, bar none. When people find out, and the world's going to unite behind him. Once this satanic pedophile ring comes down and the people see what they've been doing, torturing and murdering our children, 800,000 in America each year, 800,000 kids in America go missing every year. Look it up. And the CIA's been snatching a lot of them, and the FBI's been covering it up. What's been going on is horrifying. And it's going to rock the world. And it's the reason we need to red pill as many people as we can, because even having an argument with us is a good thing for people who aren't awake, because it's planting that seed that when it pops up on the news, oh man, that crazy guy last week was just telling me about this. It makes it easier for them to process it because it's not the first time they heard it. This is all good, guys. Even when you think you're hurting the situation, you're not. And I think that, this is I think one of the biggest takeaways from the way is we don't second guess right or wrong. We do the right thing, and it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to turn out. And what I'm going to tell you is, all these excuses that we make to do the wrong thing, to tell a lie because it's going to make it easier or it's going to be better, it's not. And when you tell the truth, all those things that you overanalyzed and thought all the problems that could happen with you doing the right thing turn out awesome. It wasn't that big of a deal. And it turns out better than you thought it was going to. And you feel better because you did the right thing. Try the way for 1 week. Tell the truth. Do the right thing in every decision you have to make. And I'm going to tell you, I believe in a week, you're going to be hooked. Because you're going to feel so good about what you're doing and the way you're living your life that you're going to want to keep going. That's how this works, guys. Do the right thing. Be a good person. Tell the truth. If you make a mistake, admit it. Don't try and cover it up. Don't try and sugarcoat it. Just makes it worse. Just say it. I made a mistake. We all have. It's not the mistakes that get us. It's usually the cover-ups. It's the trying to fix it. You fix it by owning it and moving forward. Probably there's been no other time in our history that integrity is more key. Because we don't have time for liars and manipulators and crooks. It's time for those people to go. And it's time for us to get the world that God intended us to have. And it's time for us to get the country that our founders intended us to have. And by living the way, that's what we're going to get. It's that simple. This is rocket science. It doesn't have to be tough. That's the beauty of it. Keep it simple. That's what God's doing. It's keeping it simple. That's what Jesus wanted, to keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Let's expand the religion that Jesus wanted 2,000 years ago. Let's make that happen. Amanda, how you doing? Susan, Kathleen, Sandy, hello. Keith, Jewel, how are you? Alan, hello. Tessie, hope you're doing your homework. Wayne, how are you? Sue, hello. Randy, how you doing? Danielle's asking about Kobe Bryant. I'm gonna wait. I had my suspicions about Kobe. You know, it's hard to run in those circles and not get sucked in. And of course, he's right in the belly of the beast there in LA, right? So I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate. When if and when I hear something, I'll let you guys know. But for now, we just, pray for him and his family. That could be, well, I'm not going to go there. Just, I'll let you guys know what I hear. Yeah, you can, listen, if there's anything to this, just pay attention to the cue boards. You'll hear something. Danny, how you doing? Well, Susie's talking about losing a lot of people around her. They say at this time that's going to happen. The people that subconsciously are afraid of what's coming, they may be totally asleep, but subconsciously, this is, guys, I don't know about you guys. Uh, the, the consciousness, the general consciousness of the world is elevating. I can see it. I can feel it. That's a good thing. The higher we go, I think the higher we tune into the spiritual. So everything that's happening here, guys, there's no fear. There should be no fear at all. Zero. That's part of being prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually. We're all going to die, right? I mean, for me personally, this is a long-term deal for me. I'm looking at, where I'm headed in the long run, hopefully. I mean, that's the way I'm living my life the way I do now. This is the best thing to happen in the world since Babylon. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? A long time. It's changing the world. we're gonna have again a man's greatest age, a world of peace and harmony. There's no reason to be afraid of this. And ignore the distractions. Most of the crap you're watching on the news today, turn it off. Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. You're not learning anything watching CNN or MSNBC or even Fox. Do your own research. Don't watch the garbage. It's poison. Lisa, Mike, how you guys doing? Paula, hello. Yeah, Bill Gates, he's behind coronavirus, I think, and plus many others. All that stuff's going to come out. Our government, these elites. Yeah, guys, be ready for. They're gonna. I think they're gonna unleash these Muslim sleeper cells. Fast and Furious was about arming uh, radical Muslim training camps in America. That's what Fast and Furious was all about. That's all going to come out. So these guys have military grade weapons. Um, we got to be on our toes because just imagine, just say at the Super Bowl, you know, they run about 300 or 400 at the Super Bowl. Maybe they find a weak link in the security that they exploit and attack with overwhelming forces. Just imagine 50 or 60 guys with AKs with the element of surprise, right? Um, those are the kind of things I think we're going to see. Other sporting events, anywhere, the malls, anywhere there's large groups of people. I think we're going to see attacks like this. I think this is going to be their last gasp when they unleash these sleeper cells. But we'll be ready for it, just like we were at that church in Georgia or Texas, wherever it was. Um, if this starts, President Trump's going to come out with an executive order allowing everyone to conceal carry, and we'll fight this on the streets, and we'll shut them down. We're going to lose a few people probably, but it's not going to be the millions that were going to happen if Hillary was elected. And we got the physical Armageddon, where we got the death and destruction that we saw in the Bible. I think we're doing Armageddon through the spiritual. That there's going to be very little death and destruction to accomplish the same thing and eliminate the evil from the world. Well, and the whole point of this, creating these idols, everybody, is to distract us with. Those are our role models, right? That's not what God wants. He doesn't want actors and athletes being our role models, that's for sure. He wants people like President Trump, like Admiral Flynn, like General Flynn, like our armed services. Those are our role models. Should be our role models. Yeah, well, listen, Susie's talking about her kids, and once we get through this, we're going to be the ones that are on the front line right now buying silver and Litecoin. We're going to be the ones that control, and then our kids are going to take our wealth, and my plan is to set up a trust so that the wealth is maintained, everybody gets taken care of, but then the wealth is maintained to continue this work forever. As long as you make the right investments, you can do that. I mean, that's what a lot of these foundations have done, and most of them not doing God's work. But we can use them for good. Yeah, Tessie, I was relaxing today, resting. Chad, how you doing? Cousin Bill? Yeah, Mike saying Anthony Bourdain was murdered because he saw a Schiff raping and murdering an 11-year-old boy. Yeah, listen, people, the video is take you the worst horror film you've ever seen and multiply it by 100. They will not survive this. When this stuff comes out, it's going to rock the world, and there's going to be no denying it. There's going to be no hiding from it. It's going to be on the mainstream media 24/7. Not going to get around it. Kelly, how you doing? Greg, hello. Brother Dale, what's up? Here's my brother, who's again. I don't believe a third of the population is going to be wiped out. I think that's garbage. That's one of the manipulations. That's part of the fear porn. I do not believe 1/3 of the people of the world are going to be wiped out with what's coming. End of story. Why would you pick that as the thing you want to believe? When I just told you that it's manipulated, you want to pick that as the thing to focus on? Come on. Use our heads, guys. Look at what's going on around the world. There's a shift happening. I think that shift has changed everything. The 1/3 that got wiped out was going to be from the nuclear war that Hillary Clinton was going to create with the deep state. Now that we eliminated that option, we're on a different timeline. We gained God's mercy because we elected President Trump. And what was President Trump's first call? His main priority, eliminating human trafficking, because he knew what was going on. The CIA was running child sex trafficking rings. The Vatican was running child sex trafficking rings. Look at who went to Epstein Island, Pedo Island. The Pope, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton went 20-something times. Hillary Clinton went. Don Lemon, Jake Tapper, Chris Cuomo. Why do you think they're screaming so loud about getting President Trump out? Because they know they're probably going to be executed if he stays president of the United States. And guess what? He's not going anywhere. Anybody who's guilty is going to get justice. Anybody who's murdered a child, anybody who's committed treason will get the justice they deserve. Nobody's going to avoid this, guys. It's coming. Okay, guys, that's all the questions for tonight. I'm tired. I'm going to end it there. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. I will be back tomorrow night at 5 Pacific. God bless.